Cloverfield Paradox, and boy am I a fan of the Cloverfield series as a whole, so of course I was very excited to see the Cloverfield Paradox. It takes place up in space with a bunch of astronauts that are trying to fix a problem with the energy source on Earth, which is completely diminishing. So basically, in space, they have a Hadron Collider that is too dangerous to operate on Earth, so they have to operate it in space and figure out a solution to the energy crisis they're having on Earth. Down on Earth, people are kind of afraid of what this implicates, because during all these tests, they could be creating some kind of a paradox where you're basically opening Pandora's box, so to speak. Hashtag not my Cloverfield. It's not a bad movie. It's actually a pretty decent movie, but is also very generic when it comes down to space horror. But we also have to identify what is a Cloverfield movie, because every single movie has been kind of different than the last. So the way that I interpret it is, it's a universe where crazy things happen in a world that just so happens to have monsters roaming around. So no, it's not necessarily a monster movie per se, the first one was. It's rather a whole universe of crazy stuff that happens, and that does apply in the Cloverfield Paradox. But here's the thing, it felt like Netflix was making a space horror movie and decided, hey, this might work well as a Cloverfield film, and then they added some scenes throughout the movie, mainly on Earth. Those scenes feel random and unimportant in the long run. The actual story of what you want to see happening is happening in space. What's happening on Earth really doesn't help the story, makes it feel a little bit longer than it actually is. What I've noticed from the first and second Cloverfield movie is there's a lot of strong focus on how the movie is filmed. The first movie, of course, was found footage, but it was more than found footage. It's what I call smart found footage. Yes, shaky cam. The problem most critics don't understand with the shaky cam is, in this instance, in found footage, shaky cam is important because it's trying to convey the fact that normal, real people are filming something crazy. And if they're filming something crazy, the camera will not be smooth. That was a focus on how a movie was filmed in a cinematically professional way. 10 Cloverfield Lane was a cinematic beauty. It looked and felt very, very nice. The Cloverfield Paradox felt as though it was filmed in a pace that felt very similar to some basic TV movies, where it doesn't feel as cinematically beautiful or constructed in a way that somebody with talent was working on it. So let's get into it. First up is the people category, and we're looking at the acting, and truthfully, I liked the acting. I think there was actually range in there. It's not really focused on a lot in the movie, because they're trying to focus on all of the crazy things that are happening in the movie, but people do actually have good acting range in the movie. 2 out of 2. Character-wise, you're not going to really remember the movie for the characters, which makes them ultimately forgettable. 1 out of 2. I think anybody really could have played in these parts. I don't think any of these actors were born to play the roles or anything like that. 1 out of 2. When it comes down to movies in space, the importance of the characters is often full points. Everybody that's put up into space has different roles. Expertise on the ship. The same applies in this movie. Everybody serves their own role. 2 out of 2. Chemistry, I don't really think so. You can maybe say there's professional chemistry, but nothing stands out. Chemistry gets 1 out of 2. Next up, we look at the writing score, starting off with the dialogue, which was not really all that fascinating. Nothing really stuck out for me there. 1 out of 2. I don't really consider it super balanced, as it doesn't really seem to be heading in any specific direction. It's okay. There is a generic direction. It's just nothing that is solid. 1 out of 2. Story depth, not really a deep story. It's a thriller, of course. There's nothing really to gain from the story in this movie, so I'm going to give that 1 out of 2. As far as originality goes, how space horrors work, different things can be original within that category, but they usually follow a similar structure, and this did as well. So originality only gets 1 out of 2. Interesting, yes, it is a Cloverfield movie, and it is an interesting movie that is done well. 2 out of 2. BTS score. The visuals were okay. They did stand out here and there. I wouldn't say they're phenomenal or that we haven't seen better, but they were done very well. 2 out of 2. As far as directing goes and the pacing and the storytelling, to me, it feels a little bit sloppy, and it doesn't really feel like it was done as good as it possibly could have. 1 out of 2. Editing, however, was done pretty good for what they had to do. 2 out of 2. For advertising, I think that it was slightly false advertising because you expect a certain movie when you think of a Cloverfield movie, and for the most part, I don't think that this reaches that level. 1 out of 2. Music and sound. Don't think anything really stood out for that one. 1 out of 2. Narrative arc. The introduction got you acquainted with all the space people and what their roles are and what's actually happening in the universe around them. That gets 2 out of 2. The inciting incident is when they take a giant leap forward in understanding the energy crisis that's happening in the world. 2 out of 2. The obstacles, of course, it is a thriller. It's a space horror. 2 out of 2. Climax doesn't really feel like anything more powerful or stronger than anything else in the movie. Doesn't really feel like a culmination. It feels like more of the same. 1 out of 2. And the falling action does kind of calm down and return to a new sense of norm, if you will. I will give that 2 out of 2. Entertainment score. I think out of everything that this movie has to offer, I believe that the entertainment category wins above all because it is an entertaining movie in my opinion. It may not be perfect in any kind of Cloverfield standard, but as a movie on its own, I do think it is an entertaining flick. I would rewatch this movie. I would go back on Netflix and I would watch it again because I do actually think it is a very entertaining, fun movie. 2 out of 2. And like I just said, it is a fun movie. You do have a good time while watching it. 2 out of 2 for that. Impulse to buy or own? Well, because it's Netflix, you kind of already own it. But in general, if it came out on DVD, Blu-ray, whatever, I think I would like to have it. I would like to own it. I don't think I would buy it, but I would put it on a wish list. 1 out of 2. Impulse to talk about it? Yes, there's definitely some discussion-worthy elements of the film. 1 out of 2. And does it suck you in? I think it does and it doesn't. 1 out of 2. Specially scored. As a Cloverfield movie, as I've already discussed, hashtag not my Cloverfield, 5 out of 10. As a science fiction movie, lots of different things are going on that do not exist in our world. It's in space, lots of futuristic technology that are fun to watch. 10 out of 10. As a thriller, I do want to point out that it was a thrilling ride. 10 out of 10. As a sequel to a franchise, does it add anything new? To that one, I'm having difficulties because I don't think it really does. However, I do consider that it's important. They all seem to be connected by the space station satellite business. 5 out of 10. As for being halfway decent, I think so. I think they ultimately made the movie that they wanted to make, even though it has some issues here and there. 10 out of 10. If we add up all of those points, we get 76 out of 100 possible stars. 76%. Guys, tell me what you thought about the Cloverfield paradox in the comments down below. And you can follow me on Twitter and track.tv at IAMDWG. And always on YouTube, you can subscribe to me, hit that like button, and hit that bell to be notified when I come out with my next movie review. Until then, guys, peace out and have a good day.